It's high noon in Detroit, and the USL season is about to go from 0 to 60. Success doesn't guarantee future results, but opposed Detroit City at Keyworth Stadium, you'll undoubtedly feel Detroit City's presence for 90 minutes. While in El Paso, 2 conference finals, but no trophies. A new manager and a remade roster have ensured this train has stayed on track. Detroit City and El Paso Locomotive, all aboard for the USL Championship on ESPN. High noon in Detroit, and we welcome you to the USL Championship on ESPN. Box office has been closed today. There are no tickets to sell. It is a sellout. Keyworth Stadium welcomes El Paso Locomotive taking on the homesteading Detroit City. Here's a look at the Eastern Conference. Right now, if the season ended today, Detroit City would be hosting a playoff game here at their historic venue. Meanwhile, out west, El Paso a chance to leapfrog San Diego and New Mexico with a win here this afternoon. Welcome in, everybody. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, happy to have you along for the first of 4 games on ESPN and ESPN2 over the next 18 days. Dev, these 2 teams, hugely successful. They have been, they continue to be, and this year has gone differently for them both. Let's start with El Paso. What a turnaround they've orchestrated.
You change your manager, you change your system, key components within the starting 11, and yet within that turnaround, they have an opportunity after an 0-4 start to go from the bottom of the Western Conference all the way up to number 3. Detroit City, though, watch out. 19 teams have come into this league since 2017, and yet the raw, unbridled, organic passion that this fan base brings is unprecedented in the USL Championship.
All right, let's talk about Detroit City and what they've done. This is their first year in the championship. They've been doing this for a decade. They arrived in November, and boy, did they arrive. They brought Keyworth Stadium with them. Only 1 loss at home. It was their last game against Sacramento. They had success in the Open Cup. They knocked off the Columbus Crew. They advanced to the 4th round, where they fell out in penalties to Louisville. And the orchestrator of it all, Trevor James, his 4th season at the helm, named Coach of the Month for an incredible run of form. Dev, this has been pretty remarkable to see an expansion team do this.
All this team knows is success. Over the past 2 years, 7 trophies available to them. They've won all 7, and they've brought that momentum with them into the USL Championship. But this is a different opponent. They started very strong, so much so that they are 3rd overall for one of the best starts in expansion history for a team coming in. But can they maintain that pace? Talking with Trevor James, he said, the quality of opponent is coming fast and furious. We got to keep pace.
All right, meanwhile, let's take a look at the roadside. El Paso Locomotive, conference finalists in their first 2 years in the league. They're a good team to try and engage with if you're Detroit. Now, Mark Lowry did such a good job with the group. John Hutchinson has arrived. They started with 4 losses, and since then, 7-2-3. All right, Dev, let's go ahead of the curve and see the difference in El Paso now.
You take a look at the 2 shapes that you're getting. Historically, for El Paso Locomotive, it was a diamond look within the midfield of the 4-4-2. It was about creating numerical superiority for your midfielders. 3v1s, 4v2s, often in central locations. But in turn, Mike, that helps you to create opportunities to score from the wide areas. You get well-timed runs from the outside backs. You isolate your attacking players in 1v1 and 2v2 scenarios moving forward. It's about balance and mismatching 20-25 yards from net. You go 4v3, ball in behind, end result is perfect. Now you change to John Hutchinson, you jump into a 4-3-3, more direct in nature. The midfield 3 doesn't stray from its triangular shape that much, but you've got 2 number 10s playing off the shoulders and in half spaces while in possession. The key for this team, though, is transitional moments. You want to create overloads down the sides of opposition to exploit the spaces between the fullbacks and their center backs to find success in the final third.
All right, well, it is a sellout. It may be a record crowd for Detroit City. Dance like everybody's watching. The USL Championship is on ESPN. We've got lineups and kickoff between El Paso and Detroit after these messages. This is what a sellout looks like in Detroit. The Northern Guard stands on guard. Detroit City and El Paso closing in on kickoff. All right, Dev, let's take a look at Trevor James starting 11. No changes.
The dramatic theme for this team is direct in nature. Try and find a way to move quickly off of the back line and down into the channels. Connor Rutz will come down in, create that pivot within the midfield three of Abdoulaye Diop and Maxi Rodriguez, who will jump into the attack to help spearhead this movement going forward. Watch as El Paso Locomotive reacts to that, because you really want to keep an eye on the midfield three: Dylan Maris, Eric Calvillo, and Richie Ryan. Calvillo back from international duty with El Salvador. The front three creates a lot of separation, but this unit can get itself in trouble if they don't move together. So watch that, the space in behind. If they separate themselves, Detroit will pounce all over it.
There's Yuma, day one player. Maxi Rodriguez has had an incredible start to this season. His best scoring season yet. We are underway. This is the USL Championship on ESPN and live from just outside Detroit, Michigan. Detroit City taking on El Paso Locomotive. Dev, this is a spectacular venue, not because it has all the frills, but because the fans make it special. They are intense beyond words, and we asked Trevor James to try and put it to words. He said, I can't come up with them. It's an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, from the start all the way to the 90th, regardless of competition, they're ever present. And I mentioned the dramatic within the lineup. It seems like no matter what, scoreline, situationally within a match, if the momentum's just not there, this fan base, Northern Guard, finds a way to push this team beyond limits that we haven't seen before in the USL Championship. There are few, Mike, that you can look at, and the clear-cut identity, both on the field and within the supporters groups, is set. Detroit City is one of them.
This is Yuma from Evan Newton. Into the feet of Maris. Back from Zacharias. Yuma gets that over the line. There's Evan Newton, Dev. You called him one of the top 5 players in championship history on SiriusXM last week.
How could he not be? Leads in saves, leads in shutouts. No matter the system that he's played within. Strong back lines, incredible front threes where maybe the back line hasn't exactly supplemented the help. Evan Newton has found a way to create success on his own and within that environment. Doing it again this year for El Paso Locomotive. You really have to take a look, Mike, with the confidence of these players. You lose 3-1, 2-1, 5-4, and 3-2. 4 games in, 0 for 4, leaking goals left and right. Many a player, especially a goalkeeper, would turn around and go, yeah, this isn't for me. This isn't going to go well. And yet Evan Newton has risen up, starting to produce shutouts, the spectacular in the form of saves once again. That's why, for me, he's easily in the top 5.
Carroll drives that long, and Newton scoops it up. Back from Maris, second in the league, 5 assists in the young season through 16 games. Sprinting down the line, Nick Hines. Picked off, and here comes Detroit through Pato, Botello, Faz. Pato kept it moving. Polpino leading Rutz. Rutz! Denied by Newton. Rutz asking the referee today, Matthew Conger, for a little support. Lost by Calvillo.
This is Detroit at its best, quick in nature. I talked about the directivity of play, even with the step off the back line by Stephen Carroll. Watch how quickly the decision-making is made. Open out, the bump up from Connor Rutz. This is a seasoned veteran move by Andrew Fox. Gets lucky when he comes over the back of Connor Rutz that he doesn't clip him. Very difficult to do, and even with the little nudge, referee plays advantage. Still able to get the shot off, but right at Evan Newton.
Bryant throws over Rutz. Back out through Job. Carroll. Towels waving. Keyworth Stadium alive shortly after noon on a Saturday. It's kept in. For Paso, cleared by Boehner. Run out of play. First time that Keyworth has ever been sold out before game day. Packed as many as just shy of 8,000 here. For friendlies, 7,500 for a competitive match. Held by We Met. Paso. Detroit dictating here at the outset. Under their coach Trevor James, that's sort of been their MO this year.
Well, the in-the-face, the attitude that all of the fans bring is very similar to the style that Trevor James has put out. It's a little different than what we've seen over the past couple of years, but as they've stepped up into the USL Championship, they've had to tailor their ways, and so you'll see a lot more in transition. Not as many formational shifts that you would see from the mastermind that is Trevor James, though still capable of it. They don't run as deep. The talent level and the intensity, though, everybody has bought in for Detroit City. True character. Seen it within the championship and the Open Cup so far this season, that regardless of opponent, they stick to their guns, they find ways to win. That's a scary thing.
Sent up by Wynn. There's Holpino. It's with Detroit in the 8th minute. I did a double take. Where'd the flow go?
Well, you missed the midweek social media.
I did.
Well, he came back. He's a father now, and all of a sudden he's got to be professional. Not just a player, but it's also summer. You know, it's easier to handle the elements with the crew cut, the shaved head.
Understood. From a pair of commentators who once had hair touching their shoulders.
Past tense, of course.
Holpino, part of the 35-35 club, looking to add another dime. He used to have hair like you, man.
A little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what the discussion between he and Carl We Met is.
Holpino skips off of Bryant. Again by Detroit. Through Amu Mensah. Slide in, kept it away. But only momentary. We Met pushes forward. Bryant
It's a really good recovery right there by Dylan Maris to step back defensively, get in front of the ball. The midfield so far for Detroit City doing an excellent job. Maxi Rodriguez, Abdoulaye Diop just switching off of each other. What you will see a lot, although Maxi Rodriguez will usually come higher within the attack, Connor Rutz will help out defensively, so the tendency is he'll still drop off and play off the shoulder of Abdoulaye Diop. As they're pinching over right now, Eric Calvillo, Dylan Maris having trouble. Even though they have the numerical advantage, Maxi Rodriguez doing a fantastic job of just pinching himself into that half space to help pick up possession and usher it along.
Long-awaited throw for John Hutchinson and El Paso Locomotive. First-year head coach. It's almost impossible to put to words what Mark Lowry did with this franchise from day one, and there's a lot of elements personnel-wise that John Hutchinson has kept around. He also brought along a lot of the ties he had from Australia, from his time in Asia, and also from his time in Seattle and Tacoma.
What really took me in the multiple conversations that we've had, Mike, but the most recent one was within his time, his only experience in the United States as a head coach was in the form of Seattle Sounders 2, now known as Tacoma Defiance, back in 2018. Everything else has been as an assistant or an understudy until he goes abroad. And yet what he's brought with him has allowed this sort of, that forward-thinking, 100 miles an hour, Jurgen Klopp murder ball type thing where it's just go, 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 go. And the back end of it, he said, if I can get it done here and now on a team that I didn't pick, but a team that picked me, without my players, I feel like I can do it anywhere. Now, all these guys are bought in. You're Nick Hines on the front three, onto the back line. To understand truly what he's done is nothing short of spectacular over the turnaround this season.
Hines played in Tacoma for Hutchinson, slots right in. Maxi Rodriguez stands over the ball. Time in Richmond and San Antonio, but it's never really come off this high a level before for Maxi. Rodriguez delivers. Newton had to go back, and Maris winds it toward midfield. It's going to run by Rodriguez. The accountant, Steinwasser, 2 careers. He's good at them both.
What a nickname.
I know.
The accountant. That was probably one of the areas that if you looked at the roster and players that they were bringing with them.
Early from Carroll, grabbed by Newton.
Could Nate Steinwasser, the Michigan native, continue the fantastic play that has been? It's just a different level. Whether it's UPSL, NPSL, NISA, you take that step up into the USL Championship, and it's difficult to make that transition. Whether already being an established organization or your first season overall, El Paso Locomotive in 2019. It's not easy to come into this league and find success. And that young man, Nate Steinwasser, has produced many a moment so far in the young life that has been Detroit City in the championship.
Popino and Yuma driving through, knocks Rutz away from the ball. Borelli. El Paso really hasn't been able to string anything together today. 14th minute, scoreless in Detroit. Foul, it's with El Paso. It was Bryant. There's Trevor James, who was part of the group that ultimately raised this Detroit City franchise into the championship, and he's done it with aplomb. He did well in the Open Cup, he's done well in the league, and they've never lost back-to-back under his tutelage.
He's started his playing career at Ipswich Town, but for me it was the scouting experience at Porto and Barcelona. Saw him working with guys, Sir Bobby Robson, the original Ronaldo, Pep Guardiola, Figo, Hristo Stoichkov, Luis Enrique, Laurent Blanc. You're talking about global superstars that he had his hands on and had a hand in bringing into the club. And the patience, even since he's come to the United States, whether it be MLS, the USL Championship, he's got ideas that he does such a good job translating to his squad.
Ball rolled forward by Calvillo, and Amu Mensah is there. Chipped wide, Hines. Lining up Ouimet, got the service across. El Paso will load up again. And that skews off of Bryant. Corner El Paso. Corner for El Paso. First ball's away. Holpino shoved off. Play on. Out toward Ryan. Rodriguez is there. Holpino on the run. Erased by Yuma. Through for Pato. Zacharias. Maris on the trot. Floated up by Borelli. And that's a free kick. Celebrating its 75th anniversary, Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. Choose what you play with at selectsportamerica.com. Select, league's choice, player's choice. That ball flew upfield. Bryant slashing across. And Yuma nutmegs it through. Splitting through, Amu Mensah, free kick El Paso. And a card coming to Amu Mensah.
What's been lacking in the opening 18 minutes here so far has really been the decision-making. They haven't had a lot of link-up play for Locomotive. More importantly, they haven't provided any distribution onto the front three, but as they create the separation that we talked about in the open, Mike, there's multiple options. The ball through, and then they're off to the races. You've got the run down into the corner, look at the run over the shoulder, but what gets them into trouble here for Detroit City, watch that elbow. It's that flying elbow away from Devin Amu Mensah. Very easy for the referee to pick this up and put it on the whistle.
Yellow card earned from the people's elbow.
Well, watch the magician that is Dylan Maris now. One of the more underrated players in the entire championship. You ask Trevor James about it. He talked about the scout within the midfield. He was one of the ones that initially came off the tongue. John Hutchinson, his own manager, says he does not get the respect he deserves. Open play, dead ball situations, inside 25 yards out. Beautiful with the ball at his feet. And this is prime territory for Dylan Maris.
The wall is 4 Detroit City players. Maris has scored 5, assisted 5 this year. Maris went for goal. He curled that just narrowly over. One of his prior coaches called him one of the best goal scorers outside Major League Soccer in this country.
Just a little off. You lean back here and you're trying to come back across the ball. Plenty of English on it, it's no doubt. But within that posture, you're coming back and away from the ball. Like the natural tendency as this ball comes up is almost impossible to get it back down. Really got to hit it with something special.
This is going to roll out. His fans have supported certainly the USL Championship side. Just a few days ago, they showed up here at Keyworth to watch the W League team for Detroit City knock off AFC Ann Arbor 2-1. They're working their way up the standings. W League kicking off this year, and then the Super League, the second division professional league, will complete that pathway from the academy through the W League pre-professional pathway. Holpino driving in front. There's Newton. Who knows? Detroit feels like the kind of city that could support two. Of course, it's the August beginning for the Super League that's drawn so much praise, Dev. They're going to the Euro calendar.
Switch it up, and I like the idea. You?
I think if implemented correctly, and I've had extended conversations with the brain trust that's overseeing that, Amanda Vandervoort goes, everyone thinks we're going to be playing on Christmas Day in the snow. That's not the plan.
Well, that's unfortunate. I thought I had a new activity. Remove myself a little bit from family time.
Every game is a snow classico in that instance.
There you go. Well said.
Not to be. They've got a good plan there. Excited to see how that plays out. There is a slowly moving train. This is one of the few venues in the league that makes El Paso feel at home in that sense. If they went to Pittsburgh, they would get a similar feeling. Holpino very much onside, but that's very much beyond his grasp. They'll bring play back. What do you like here from Maxi Rodriguez?
If they bring up Stephen Carroll high enough, always look for number 5. That's an easy one. Mensa can throw his name into the mix too.
There's the ball forward. Newton came out haphazardly. Good interchange. Floated ball across for Carroll. Header further, snapped away. It's momentary, and it is in! Detroit City grabs the lead. Paso! And he knows just where he's celebrating. 1-0 Detroit City.
Got to be a quick conversation here with Evan Newton and everybody in front. How did they let this thing park itself for Christmas dinner inside the box? I mean, there's just way too much time. Second, third, and fourth. Love the little flick on the backside. And even with the numbers in the box, it continues to drop. Evan Newton's got to come off his line there. When he does not commit, neither does anybody else. Inside the 6, that's his area. He stays, and then it's just a domino effect. Richie Ryan can't get stuck in. Yuma stands flat. Nobody else steps up into the space. Pato is happy to let this thing fly into the bottom corner. Uncharacteristic from El Paso Locomotive, but exactly what Trevor James orders when he draws this up on the training ground.
39 goals at St. Mary's, goes to Lansing, bags 7, scoreless in 2020 at South Georgia Tormenta, but won the NISA Spring Season Golden Ball. Gets the chance to showcase on a higher level here in the championship, and he's bagged 5 goals now. You spend time asking Trevor James a little bit about Pato, and he goes, look, he's earned every second. He's up over 1,000 minutes on the year that he's played. Good little interchange here. Hines off the mark.
You can't take anything away from the strike. Of course, he did his job. You can't allow that much time if you're El Paso Locomotive or space. It's one touch, a second, a third. You know, eventually someone's got to step up and win it. Otherwise, that's exactly what's going to happen. It doesn't matter if it was Opano, Connor Rutz, Paso. I mean, you name anybody on this team, and they would have finished that off.
If you watch him just delicately toe that line to avoid being offside as well, really well done. Aaron Gomez, not meant to be. Gomez finishes the tackle. The referee had already turned to face play.
But let's be clear here. If you're going to card Devin Amumensa for the shoulder that he put forth, the same exact thing has to be warranted in this situation.
Absolutely.
Right through him. I mean, it's late. It's borderline negligence on the tackle. That's exactly the argument coming from Stephen Carroll. And he's yelling it's his shoulder, but it's high, and it's after the fact.
I think Amumensa is saying precisely what you just did. Aaron Gomez, who scored the winner from the spot against Phoenix on the road last time out. Steinwasser drives it away. There's no additional caution for that. Header smashed forward. Danger still. Flag up. This isn't going to count. Declan Wynn carried that all the way. An apparent handball.
The argument on the back is on the first ball was Pato off, but watch, it's got to be the handball here. Absolutely. Well done by the refereeing crew. Good step by Declan Wynn, by the way. Look at all the mistakes that are piling up for El Paso Locomotive. It's their inability to connect with the front three, and that's not because the opportunities aren't there. They're just gifting possession back to Detroit City, the goal, and then another representation of poor timing on the back line. Andrew Fox and Yuma, two of the more consistent center backs in the league. Got to find a way to turn it up a notch here.
Back by Maris. Maris will catch up to this now. El Paso, after a brutal defensive start, had largely turned it around. A couple head scratchers today. Detroit took the lead in the 23rd from Pato. Richie Ryan, game number 98 in the championship. In behind, Steinwasser. Stab down kept by El Paso. Rutz with a tug. El Paso blares through that. Bryant. And now the foul. And a yellow card out to Jope as well.
this one, just because of the consistency that you're asking from the referee. On the other end, Aaron Gomez got away with a ton, considering Amu Mensah was booked for probably even a lesser offense, and then coming from behind here, there's open space. There's also plenty of defenders in front of him to help out if he does get by on the step.
Maris. Good turn at the end line. Detroit read that like a book as far as Maris. Room out here for Eder Borelli. Captain Juarez before arriving in El Paso. Holpino is through. Holpino taking it the distance. Tried to lay it across for the onrushing Pato or Rutz. Job. Boehner overcooked that all the way to Steinwasser. Anything surprise you through half an hour, Dev? Feels like we're getting precisely the heavyweight fight we expected.
Well, I'm not surprised tactically what's gone on. They've stuck to their ways. It's direct by Detroit City. They move the back line very thin and try and win the possession battle on the outside and then swing balls into the box. I'd say that outside of the mistake, it has been their mistakes. 15, 20 yards from goal where they haven't been clear-cut in decision-making. That's exactly what's gone on for El Paso Locomotive as well. Right here is the breakdown. Numerically, doing a great job, Detroit City are, in the recovering runs to help out so that it's not just an isolated back three.
Oh, it was dummied through and right onto El Paso into the penalty area. Oh, what a finish! El Paso pulls level.
And yet, right on cue, the turnover. All the runs defensively have been fantastic for Detroit City. But watch as they play out of the back here. This is where El Paso has gotten it wrong. Dangerous ball coming back across. The numbers already advanced, and there's the mismatch that we talk about. Even off the mistake, they still create the 4v3 in transition. Eric Calvillo streaking out of the middle. He bypasses the center backs, moves in between Amu Mensah and Stephen Carroll, and then it's where do you want it? Pick your poison. Catches Steinwasser sleeping just a bit because like everybody else, he inspects it to the back post, roofs it on the near post, and equalizes.
Calvillo won the title in Orange County last year and arrives as a member of the El Salvador national team. He was part of the Nations League squad that played that muddy affair at Estadio Cuscatlan in San Salvador. Slide in, El Paso is going to continue. Zacharias. Maris. Zacharias. Play continues. Rodriguez, a well-structured challenge. Holpino. Holpino.
The back line a bit slow here in reaction. There was a shout by Andrew Fox for an offside call. He actually stopped and then had to recover. Good news is he's able to get back because Connor Rutz had made home right at the top of the 6. And the good pinch off by Yuma. Again, when they go very aggressive and quick. Sometimes it's only 2 or 3 in transition, but they always find a way to make themselves known 10, 15 yards from goal.
Rodriguez. Boehner helped to defend that well.
Bit ironic that up until the goal, all of the mistakes had come from El Paso's back line. Right, their inability to play off, trying to find link up with that man right there, Richie Ryan. It's a passive-aggressive nature that we don't normally see from John Hutchinson's squad, and yet they stuck with it. In the call, chatting with him leading in, talking about tactics, he said, listen, guys, I'm not going to change. I'm not changing for anybody. Even if we're making mistakes or we go down, there's no reason for me to. Find the right personnel, the mismatches, and we're going to do what we do. And that's exactly what went on. It took 32 minutes, but they were able to equalize.
Away from Pato. Driven ball dangerously, and Newton puts his fingertips to it.
How about Pato?
Yeah, this much.
Evan Newton, he misjudges it, to be honest, because he's coming strong to the near post, and watch that hesitation right there. He knows he can't take another step. If he does, it's over his head, and somehow the referee has also followed the holiday trend and gifted a present to El Paso.
Speaking of presents, pushed away from Wynn, and ball don't lie. Detroit was 4 unbeaten, snapped against Sacramento, their first home loss in the league. Trevor James said everyone on La Rouge was looking to play in this game. Certainly they want to score in this game. That clearance left a lot to be desired. It's toward Bryant and Carroll. Carroll rose up to meet it. And look, this, Dev, is a team that, by expected goals, had their 2 worst offensive performances of the season, the last 2 games. Yet they continue to create in a number of ways. Rutz pushing this wide, the return to him is touched out. And another corner for Detroit.
It's about high efficiency for them because they'll rattle off numbers for sure. But as they continue that identity I talked about, every single goal, all 22 that have been put in the back of the net for Detroit City this year, they've all come with inside the box. That gives you an idea of what they're trying to implement. Everything from wide areas. Now, whether it's launched in and you get someone like Stephen Carroll on the end of it to find pay dirt, or an Antoine opener or Connor Rutz, same thought.
Header snap back post with Carroll lurking. This has flummoxed El Paso a little bit. Rutz a header forward. Taken on by Locomotive. They're unbeaten in 5, 1 loss in the last 10. Few teams in the championship playing at El Paso's level right now. Rodriguez, that was a clinic. Pato, free kick. Does Yuma have any positional standard?
The range. Yeah, holding midfielder by trade that throughout his career as it's gone on, he's moved on to the back line. But this all started actually on the inside because of the mismatch they've acquired with an advanced role in Maxi Rodriguez and Connor Rutz coming deep. they've created the alternate look to a Paso Locomotive's triangle. They've just flipped it so Richie Ryan was chasing, and it was quick and easy for them to move it around the holding midfielder and then get it outside to try and find service into the box.
There's Hopino. And there's the massive humanity that'll try and nod this past Evan Newton. Hopino. Newton. Closing in on the 40-minute mark outside Detroit. Paso possesses, and they've given it away a bit cheaply. Rutz helped to take it away. Jope. Bryant. Floats, Newton bobbles but collects. And Ryan starts the other way. You can start your Saturday with another USL on ESPN Matinee. Hartford Athletic welcome Louisville City to the Nutmeg State next weekend. Don't miss the action. Saturday, June 25th, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. It's powered by Hisense. Jope. That was a mustache that had heated beef with Corbin Bone during the Open Cup. Injured player down here. It's Maris. ESLChampionship.com did an entire feature article about that mustache. They Q&A'd it.
It directly.
Yeah. It wasn't an interview with Brian. And his dad and his brother, firefighters, their game is strong. The mustache game, that is. Play on through Carroll. A bit of room here. Amu Mensah tried to stick his foot out. Diving effort from Carroll. Sent forward by Bryant. Yuma is becoming a crowd favorite here in Detroit. Good run by Gomez. Got snuffed out. Appeal for a handball it is. Made himself just a little bit bigger, Borelli. That's what Lee Met can do. He won the title in this league in 2016 with Red Bull 2. Lee Met. Amu Mensah kept it alive. Now El Paso on the run. Zacharias.
That last ball, to be fair for both sides, but really for El Paso Locomotives it's been terrible, to be honest. It seems like they've almost got too much time and space to make decisions, and they're just handing it right back to Detroit City. Sometimes sometimes the simplest way is the easy way. That's sort of the motto that Detroit City can live by. If you watch them, the decision making, usually there's nothing of the spectacular, right? There's not that awe-dropping ball. It's just clean, precise. El Paso Locomotive need to start taking a page out of their book.
Zacharias for Hines. Drop that down. Calvillo has to ship it out. Calvillo, the goal scorer for El Paso. Drew caught Hines flat-footed. And make sure you stick around at halftime. Eric Winalda went to Orange County and provides a report on Kobe Henry's transfer to Reims in France, headed to Ligue 1. Rumored to be about a $750,000 transfer. He was called up by Greg Berhalter back for the Bosnia and Herzegovina games in December. The 18-year-old with a reported sell-on clause between 15 and 20%. Total game changer for the league, Dev. Came from an offside position.
That's the type of sale that affects everyone.
Yep.
People may think it doesn't, and maybe it's just a short-sighted lens, but broadly, this will affect everyone. Transfer markets all around the globe are always affected by what goes on domestically, and you can talk about the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, you just talked about Ligue 1. This will affect everybody in the USL Championship. Think about El Paso Locomotive. Right? Now, Diego Luna just went to Real Salt Lake, but they've currently got 12 guys on academy contracts, 5 of which that have stepped on the field and made impactful minutes. You're telling me that 6 months from now, one of them gets the opportunity to go, or a year from now, and that number that you just referenced doesn't have an effect on it? You're crazy. Of course it does. And there's plenty of talent around the championship right now. Not just El Paso or what we saw at Orange County. Josh Winder in Louisville, of course, is a big name that people are throwing around. Christian Fletcher, he's with Loudoun United right now. That's just some of the few, littered with youthful exuberance. And eventually, it'll make its way to all these clubs.
And let's say this, if Eric Winalda doesn't go over, and he's not the only one from that generation of players, but into a Big 5 European league, how much would that have stunted growth if it took another 10 years? Eric Winalda, among those who sort of lit the path. And Kobe Henry will now make his way to France on that league record transfer. We'll find out more about that at the half. It's 1-1 here as we close in on the intermission. Calvillo sliced that through well. Hines trying to hold his run. And El Paso somehow grabbed the advantage here before the break. That'll likely seal their fate as to no. Steinwasser sent it long, and there is the halftime whistle. Dev, two teams duking it out, both in playoff position. This felt about right here through 45.
I've given you the idea of El Paso Locomotive and what they're trying to do, some of the mistakes that have occurred moving from back to front. But to put numbers to it, to that face, 85% passing accuracy leads the USL Championship, and yet just before half, they've just made their way to 78. They were hovering in the low 70s, so it's telling you they're not as efficient as they normally are. But this is Detroit City. This is where they're at their best. They sit back, bide their time, they don't need a ton of the ball, and then they pick you off in the final third. Mistake or not from El Paso Locomotive, those chances will continue to come for Detroit City come second half.
1-1 outside Detroit between Detroit City and El Paso Locomotive. All right, so Detroit grabs the lead in the 23rd minute. It was Paso who scored the goal. He's kind enough to join us here at halftime. Paso, congratulations on the goal. We hear about Keyworth Stadium, but you get to experience it. That ball hits the net. What's that feel like?
It felt amazing, man. You know, I don't know what happened in the play. I couldn't tell you right now, but, you know, I got the rebound inside the box, so first thought in mind was shoot it, and thank God he went to the back of the net.
Paso, describe what the work ethic is like up there right now. You have to do a ton of chasing defensively, yet still keep your mind on the fact that Antoine's there, Connor's there, and you guys are going to go quickly in transition. What's the matchup like against Andrew Fox and Yuma on the back line?
Yeah, I mean, we know we have to run all the time. That's what Coach Trevor wants us to do, so just don't stop running. When you're tired, ask for a sub. But yeah, we just need to be a little bit more organized, starting with us in the front, and hopefully they can break us down in the second half, and hopefully we can get one more.
Congratulations on the goal, Paso. Good luck the rest of the way. 1-1 here at halftime between Detroit and El Paso. Eric Winalda sits down with Kobe Henry after this. The USL's youth infrastructure starting to pay real dividends in 2020. 16-year-old Kobe Henry debuted for Orange County. 2 years later, called by Greg Berhalter, and now off to France, an inflection point in the global transfer market for American soccer. The legendary Eric Winalda introduces the world to the latest American destined for European glory.
You were a player that was sought after. You could have done this differently, but you chose to play in USL. Why did you take this pathway?
I believe that the USL had a better pathway for me to reach my goals. Orange County had a great plan and set for me to go and do big things in my career.
The first part of that dream is to be signed in a club in Europe. Where's your head right now?
I've dreamed of this moment since I was a little kid, playing in the biggest stadiums and over in Europe, overseas. So this is really a dream come true for me.
Kobe, since day one he came in and he understood what his role was, just to grab all the information he could. He's on the journey to fulfill a bigger pathway, which was going to Europe.
Deflected out by
Orange County, they had a whole plan set for me, and together we've gone through and achieved every single thing and ticked every single box.
Welcome back to the USL Championship on ESPN. Whether you're a pizza fan here in Detroit, or maybe you're looking for something a little classy, a beignet. It's 1-1 between Detroit and El Paso here at halftime. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, happy to welcome you back. Well, that was fun, partner.
No beignets for you, though.
No, pass.
I was shocked at how poor El Paso was on the ball. That's just not their mantra, right? But Detroit City, if you started from the first whistle all the way till their goal, this is exactly what you expected to get out of Trevor James' squad. Everything fluid in transition, find a way to go on the break. Little back heel here, I'm with it. And as the ball's whipped in, watch the hesitation on the ball. When Evan Newton doesn't come right there, now you're in trouble because everybody expects him to, and then nobody steps up into the space. The hesitation by the goalkeeper, even with all the bodies in front, allows Paso to spree himself free and stick it into the far corner. And then a mistake on the other end. As good as they had been playing off the back line, they gift it up here, and then now Calvillo just recognizes it. That step into the final third, this is where El Paso Locomotive is at its best. Number of opportunities, number of options moving in. Who wants to take it? Calvillo finishes it off.
All right, Devin and I are going to find some thin little pancakes. Oh, those are crepes. Detroit 1, El Paso 1 at the half.
Welcome back to Keyworth. Dev, this is what it looked like inside the locker room before the game.
Pretty impressive story shared here by the manager, Trevor James, in that before every single game, one of the Northern Guard supporters drops in, leaves a message for the guys of promotion and value and what's going on to try and give themselves that extra push that they need for victory. By the way, bottom corner of that talks about Antoine Openo. Apparently there's a regular competition for ping pong, and his rankings are in fact correct.
Is he at the top? We'll find out. It is 1-1 at halftime outside Detroit. Detroit City welcoming El Paso Locomotive. A game worthy of showcase here on ESPN. There was a change at halftime for El Paso, driven away by Amu Mensah. That's Cristiano Francois, who is a full Haitian international, returns from the break, where he was with Haiti in Nations League. Also have Siobhan John Brown available to them, who featured against the U.S. with Grenada during Nations League. Zacharias came off at the intermission. Paso chasing. Had a chance to celebrate a goal with his brother here today. That came in the 23rd minute. Eric Calvillo responded in the 32nd. The Locomotive.
That's John Hutchinson just trying to find some balance within this attack. Almost everything has been down the left flank or through the middle. And Aaron Gomez, as he drops down into the pocket in front of the front three, specifically Stephen Carroll. There's been some link-up play there, but not really much peeling off of that right shoulder. And so with the addition of Cristiano Francois, talk about being direct. You can't get it any better than the Cheetah, as he goes by on social media. Gotta love that, by the way, the Cheetah. He has tons of speed to burn, and that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to find a way to be less predictable as they move forward.
Ryan. Squared forward by Yuma. Rodriguez goes down, play continues. Francois. Calvillo is going to send this out of play. I'm going to go back and look at Maxi Rodriguez. He never moved once he went down.
It's knee to knee here for Maxi Rodriguez. This ball came square back across from Yuma. Watch the knee trailer right there. Neither one of them gets the ball, do they? Both trying to make a play on it, follow through. I mean, if anything, Maxi Rodriguez gets a tiny touch off that right leg. Certainly doesn't connect with it. The physical side of things pokes its head out.
Trevor James does not have the depth to deal with a lot of injuries.
No, and we've talked about this at length throughout the season, about what this is going to look like in 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. It's not a question of the quality overall for Detroit City. I actually said to him behind the scenes that the bowing out of the Open Cup was a bit of a blessing in disguise because of fixture congestion. And what you're looking at right now in the starting lineup is basically what you've gotten over the past month. Now, you could argue Matty Lewis, the defender, who's not available, but still, to run 14, 15 deep within a team. This is the first full bench they've had almost all year. It just doesn't happen. And so the question is what sort of supplementation are they going to bring in? Because the identity, the culture, the quality, not a problem at all. But also the quality of competition. You match up against Loudoun, Hartford, Red Bull 2, out of respect, it's a different argument than when you're playing Louisville City, when you're playing El Paso Locomotive, your 901 FCs. So we're looking for them to continue this great run of form as the season goes on, but they need help with players to do so.
Every time we talk to Trevor James, there's that question that has to be asked. If you found an answer, looking for that little extra depth. Rodriguez returned a moment ago. He's immediately on the ball. Got wind flying out in front of him. Said they've struck out a few times. They were also able to add Amadou Diop from Birmingham mid-season. Carl Ouimet came in from Indy.
The other side of that argument is, Mike, he's actually followed suit in the same thing that Louisville has done. It was James O'Connor, then it was John Hackworth, now Danny Cruz. Just because someone's talented, they're not going to bring him into the locker room. They've established a real impressive identity here. And because a guy can put the ball in the back of the net, or he's a solid defender, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to mix into that culture. So you have to be real careful talent-wise who you bring in. It's the personal side of things that they've invested in as well. And they've done such a great job of gelling everyone together.
Turn there from Declan Wynn. He's capped over a dozen times for New Zealand. He immediately puts it back in play. There's Rodriguez. Well over Rutz. It'll find the backside. Openo crossing. Watch out for Rutz. He contemplated. Rodriguez swept it forward. There's contact. Openo went down. And the crowd roars in disapproval. Job crossfield, Win. Detroit on the move. Trying to curl that in behind. Francois closed it down nicely. It's a little more convincing. Exactly, Devin, where you're gesturing for this to go. Hines.
They paid a price for it, though, because you couldn't get it out there fast enough. Richie Ryan, he balked at the initial ball to the left side, even with the streaking run, and he goes down. But go all the way back to just seconds prior, Antoine Openo. It's a bit soft on the far side. Ball back through, and he's looking for it, leaning in. Not going to happen against Budelli. If it does get through, though, it is another mistake, Mike, that are starting to pile up here for El Paso Locomotive. Budelli on the wrong side of that defender, or attacker, excuse me. You got to be on the inside shoulder. One after another right now for both of these teams.
Maris over Yuma. So a throw for the Haitian international Francois. Boehner to throw, he just keeps going. Second team All-League back in 2014. And still, here he is. Boehner. That bounces down, and the flag had gone up. 54th minute, 1-1 between Detroit and El Paso with a noon game today. It means there's plenty of games around the championship tonight and next weekend to keep an eye on. Colorado Springs and Indy 11, another of those East-West. Louisville, a two-time champion, taking on the reigning champ Orange County. Louisville City will go to Hartford, get the national spotlight treatment next Saturday afternoon, Dev.
I'm a big fan of that Colorado Springs Indy 11 game. The contrasting styles between West Coast, East Coast, Brendan Burke, Mark Lowry, and that matchup that will be. Also, can Phoenix get back on track on the road against Loudoun?
Hines. It's touched away. And by the way, the matchup of USL League One is on ESPN Plus tonight at 8. As it bounced through and back to Steinwasser. Union Omaha and Greenville Triumph. We've got champions in that game. Curled for Francois. had support at the top of the area. Angling, Francois dangerously. Came out to Calvillo, can hit this ball as well as anybody. You're an Omaha native, I'm sure you're excited about that, and you're calling their Open Cup match on ESPN Plus as well.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who to root for in that game, though, because Johnny Harkes is on the sideline.
Oh, sure.
So, pretty interesting that that's the game now, and they're going to take on Sporting Kansas City a couple of days' time right before the Open Cup. Very kind of the scheduling committee to know that that was going to happen.
Omaha reigning champ out in League One. And Greenville, the early dynastic power. Through here, Francois wasn't able to get it around Steinwasser. Sacramento, by the way, also still alive in the Open Cup. You'll call both those games, Omaha, Kansas City, and Sacramento and LA Galaxy on ESPN Plus later this month.
That's the balance that I talked about. There's the speed for Francois. Notice, though, no option on the inside. I've been very impressed so far with the back line for Detroit City. Outside of the mistake, Mike, they're being very cautious. A lot of times when they spread thin, you'll see Carl Ouimet, more specifically Amu Mensah on this left side. He'll transition going forward. They're not gambling right now. They're keeping the game in front of them, and they're getting a lot of assists from Declan Wynn and Michael Bryant, just allowing possession to happen and then step in when they feel appropriate.
Maris on the give and go. Again, Steinwasser.
Just be careful what you wish for, because you can take that pressure. But if you notice, over the last 10, 11 minutes in the second half, if we started off here, it's a different look than what you've gotten in the first. El Paso Locomotive were coming from much deeper lying positions. Now they've reestablished a bit more dominance higher, which has allowed them to maintain possession in more offensive threatening territories. So they're not going 80 yards to try and reach net. They're 50, 60 yards. It's much easier on the tactical formation that is for John Hutchinson.
Foul, Ouimet coming forward. And Ouimet able to put that in play. And launched across. Paso. Paso angles end line, cuts it across. Headers away. Francois can't deal with it, but ultimately escapes the touch.
It's really smartly done here. A little touch, and then look at the head up. Antoine Openo. He understands that the ball has to be perfect, but even if it isn't, you still have the support. This is the biggest thing you get out of Detroit City. Second, third, fourth chance opportunities. Paso can't get to it. He's still got Connor Rutz coming at the top of the 6, and you had options just outside the top of the 18.
Wave from Meron Gomez. And back by Carroll. Detroit is outscored opposition 15-6 in the second half. This is a non-stop deluge of energy. All deflects away. Rutz has picked it up. Openo lets it through. Win. Openo will race back, collect again. Openo curling off the crossbar. What a hit. Paso follows. Back toward Rutz. Up and over. Openo's got his hands on his head. He can't believe that didn't find it. Can you hit that any sweeter?
There's only 6 guys in the 30 goals and 35 assists historically in the championship for good reason. Watch the ideas from Antoine Openo. No step again from El Paso Locomotive. Just like the argument on the other side, you give him that much time and space, he will make you pay. Almost gets the best of Evan Newton. And then trying to come back to the inside. I've never seen the defensive mistakes for either side that I'm seeing here today. And that's not to take away anything from the attacking units, but you got to step up into those tackles. You can't allow that much time or space.
Maris knocked it wide, cleared away. There was talk between the coaches in the lead up. Don't let the energy of the occasion take over at the hour mark, and it still feels a little shaky. Maris Hopino slides in. Paso takes possession through Boehner. Read from Job. Richie Ryan. Once rumored he was part of a $750,000 transfer. Multiple sources have denied that. At the time, it was considered the biggest transfer in lower division history. That's been usurped. Maris. Oh, Maris. Right at Newton. Will stutter and go.
I thought he was going to lace this into the far corner. When he pulls this thing back across, he tries to get a little cute with it. Great little pump on Momensa to the floor, and then he tries to place this into the near post. Nate Steinwasser, another good save. Didn't have to be great. And in those situations, expect Dylan Maris to do better.
Here's Hopino again. Celebrating Father's Day in a different way this year. Hopino crossing, and the header's out. Corner, Detroit. Change afoot for El Paso, but it'll wait a moment longer, it appears. All eyes on number 5 lining up at the back post, Carroll. Struck that all wrong. Antoine Hopino's wife, Molly, giving birth to a little girl a couple of weeks ago. Took a game or two off. Back in the lineup. Part of that celebrated USL Championship 30-30 club. There's Zoe Rose Hopino.
Beautiful. Father's Day tomorrow.
Yeah. It's going to hit a little different for
Antoine.
Antoine.
Pretty good reason to miss a match.
That's it.
Remember Stephen Carroll missed the Pittsburgh game, getting married. These life events, and they're starting to affect the tactical analysis that is for Trevor James. What's going on here?
Trevor joked with us, birth of a child, nuptials. Back in my day.
You got anything planned for the Bulldog? The other way around. Does he have anything planned for you?
First anniversary or
Father's Day?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. Not yet that I know of. You just had your second. There's Francois. Boehner. This struck from distance, asking questions of Newton from Ryan. The turn, Gomez swiped aside just enough. Team back up and cleared by Rutz. El Paso continues through Francois. A lightning rod whenever he's on the field. Job. Ryan. Challenge sends Job to the ground. There's a foul.
You're starting to see it, right? El Paso Locomotive prodding a little bit with the numbers up high. Watch this save, though, by Nate Steinwasser. He's going to jump up off the deck on the rebound right in front of him. Good save. And then you kids at home, the push to the side. That's the big one here, away from the danger area. Because not only does it move it away from the run of play, it allows Nate Steinwasser to reset himself so that when the secondary option comes back across, he's already gotten back to square one. And the ball comes square, he can push it aside. That's the accountant at his best.
Steinwasser getting appropriate chanted praise here at Keyworth Stadium. Stein Monster is what they have in the game notes. A rose by any other name. Play will stop there. And changes are coming. There's Seba Velasquez. 4th appearance of the season, the 31-year-old. RSL, NYCFC goes overseas, Israel and South Korea. Eric Calvillo comes off, returning from international duty under Hugo Perez in El Salvador. He scored in the 32nd minute to level the match. These are the second and third subs, first window used by El Paso. And Sinupe comes on, the former Tottenham Academy player, for Nick Hines.
Watch the little pinch on the inside here between Dylan Maris and Sebastian Velasquez. Seba working his way back from injury last time out. As John Hutchinson, if the whole plan was to let him go till halftime, said it was probably too long. So load management for both he and Eric Calvillo here. But I expect Velasquez to shift a bit more to the right. He'll jump up into that extended role onto the front line when need be. Still say that tactically, for the most part, within the interior, Abdoulaye Diop and Maxi Rodriguez done very well for themselves. Diop has pumped himself a little bit higher into the attack. Got to be careful to maintain that balance centrally.
There's Pato again. Yuma, surely this time. Yeah, he's in the book. And he's worse for the wear, too. That's insult to injury for Yuma.
Pato gets Yuma caught in a really bad spot here as Yuma rotates over. He catches him flat-footed. Almost expects Pato to hold up play here and wait for help. Good ball down into the channel, and as he comes over and picks himself up a yellow card, watch the hips and the feet, because Pato recognizes it right there. Gets caught just a little bit, turns, and then as he comes back to the inside, Pato recognizes, just comes back across. Really well done by the striker from Detroit City. Even if you don't get around him and he takes you down, you've still given your team an excellent opportunity. Hovering around 30% of their goals coming from dead ball situations.
Could this put Detroit ahead with their ubiquitous home field advantage that's followed them league to league? Only one home loss all year. This will be Rodriguez lashing to the backside. Carroll was the target. Holpino. Offside flag goes up. Samu Mensah coming from an offside position. Don't miss a minute of the action in 2022. Whether your club is on the road or at home, you can catch nearly every second of USL Championship and USL League One action on ESPN+. It's the home to USL, MLS, La Liga, Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. And then next Saturday, powered by Hisense, it'll be Louisville away to Hartford, 1 o'clock Eastern. We'll see it live on ESPN, and you can watch it on the ESPN app. Meanwhile, here in Detroit, a decade worth of experience all the way to the second division. Detroit City is in playoff position. They've got a tremendous defense. They've never lost back-to-back games under their manager, Trevor James, and they're trying to avoid that feat today at historic Keyworth Stadium, taking on an El Paso side that is back above the playoff line after a 4-game stumble out of the blocks. No points in the first 4 games, but only 1 loss in their last 10. And El Paso have been to 2 conference finals under Mark Lowry in the previous 3 years. Turn to John Hutchinson as Lowry heads to Indy 11 this year, and they've picked up right where they've left off. 1-1 in the 69th minute. You know, this year's Open Cup really reminded people in other divisions about what Detroit City really is. Another sellout today. Trevor James told us in recent weeks for the club to be on ESPN. They've been on ESPN Deportes earlier this year. It's massive. It's motivational to the players. The players want to sell themselves. The club wants to show their values on national TV. This is as big a spotlight as they've ever had shown on Keyworth Stadium. And they've lived up to the billing, haven't they? Looking for width, and a 50-50 ball siphoned back off now through Ryan. Velasquez. Some serious game changers off the bench for El Paso here, and some of it's because players are returning from international duty, like Cristiano Francois, who came on at halftime, but Velasquez has been in and out of the lineup a little this year.
I think it's easy to look at their slow start, and their fans included. There was unrest. Everybody was upset. But to your point, it wasn't just international duty or injuries. It was to some of the more impactful players on your team. Now everybody has an impact, but you're looking at 6 guys, 7 guys within the starting 11. And you add a new coach, and the system change. Of course they went. That was easy to figure out. It was how quickly would the recovery happen. And I admired John Hutchinson for just staying the course. He knew that if he got everybody back, even half of them, that they would give themselves an opportunity to find success. And so all of a sudden it turned around. It was 3-run on the road at Loudoun. It was 3-1 at home against Tulsa, then 4-0 versus Galaxy. And then you were waiting for them to start to get results against some of the quote-unquote better teams, as Sacramento Republic. Even though Orange County may not be getting the results, they're still playing well. They took down Phoenix, right? So now all of a sudden, they're hovering right at the top of the upper echelon of the Western Conference.
Francois, denied by Amu Mensah, in reverse through Velasquez. Velasquez putting everybody on skates. Francois strikes. Soars upward. That's going to bounce with a lot of English. Rutz, and now Rodriguez. Drop down to Andrew Fox, handball.
Not exactly sure what Antoine Openo's so upset about here. Easily comes off the hand. Good job by Detroit City to finally push this out of the box, but it does come right down the middle. Easy enough for Andrew Fox, Yuma, Richie Ryan to step up into it. There you go. Last I checked, that's still not allowed.
The rules are constantly
the
changing.
submission's been put in, which is frowned upon.
Fox went for goal. Paso, goal scorer, somehow from his backside held that momentarily. There's Francois. Fox. Rodriguez. Hopino let that through. That's brilliant. Declan Wynn has Hopino in front. Hopino turns, fires. Newton off the rebound, collects.
Beautifully done here by Detroit City as they go. A little surprised that you see Yuma commit this much, and a great lead by Openo. He understands that he's got the support on the backside. Expected Boehner to pick it up quicker. When he doesn't come, you've opened up the entire pedigree of your team and put them in a bad spot. Center of defense, but guess who? Evan Newton, always right there. Your leader, historically for saves and shutouts for good reason, bails his team out.
Borelli spins down.
Pretty good pressure by Michael Bryant. The inverted run by Eda Borelli. Key area that Paso Locomotive have been missing. Nick Hines had dropped onto the defensive front. You just don't get that same extension that you do. It's the two-way player that understands when to stay and when to go. Haven't had a ton of success with it tonight. There's also an understanding that Detroit City, which we spoke about earlier, Mike, they've dropped off a ton. You know, they've given the respect to the fact that John Hutchinson will send 9 at you.
Yuma. That got applause from my center back teammate here. Slid up, win, advantage played. Touch through Rodriguez, Rutz. Job with a deflection, flies over the bar. They're saying it's a corner, clearly caught an arm, but it was an arm folding inside to protect the player.
I kept telling you about that advanced roll from Abdoulaye Diop. A lot of times you see Maxi Rodriguez in these trailing runs, but he's actually the benefactor of the bounce here. Drops off of him. Connor Rutz, you got to give him a ton of credit on what he's been able to do. This almost ends up in that upper corner, even off the deflection. But if not for Connor Rutz and the smarts to peel off as that space is then occupied by Maxi Rodriguez, that effort itself never comes to fruition.
Corner across. That'll be a goal kick, rather a corner to come again for Detroit. Rodriguez will switch sides. Off of Aaron Gomez. Rodriguez. It's a good start the other direction. Velasquez, he's such an awe-inspiring playmaker. Maris dancing. Away with Sinupe entering the fray. G. Ryan from Maris. A little bit behind, but well quelled by El Paso. Velasquez, Boehner, Francois. Fox, Sinupe. Rodriguez. And a foul.
You wonder how long Trevor James is willing to ride this wave of possession for El Paso Locomotive specifically, and there's your answer. The personnel that he's on the field, 79 minutes in. Already multiple changes for El Paso Locomotive, all on the attacking front. None for Detroit City. And the managers finally pulled the trigger there.
There's Francis Atuahene, former 4th overall pick of Montreal. Then the impact. Francois Mensa has been stuck to him. Sanupe had way less time than he thought. Launched along a Tuaheni with fresh legs. Velasquez, Sanupe holding up. Options percolating here for Locomotive.
They are really taking a chance here with Matt Boehner, inverting him off that back line, trying to add another body into the midfield.
Room here, perhaps to get one away. It's away, all right.
As the game has gone on, though, even with the extra attacking presence that you get by the defender, low percentage shots, a ton from outside the box here for El Paso Locomotive. They are creating space. They're doing a very good job of getting themselves into those mismatches we talked about coming in. Your 4v3s, 3v2s, 2v1s as you work down the ladder. The problem is the decision making once they get close to goal started to elude them.
A stride from a Tuaheni.
Seems that Detroit has also resorted themselves, at least at this point in time, to continue to sit and just allow the possession in front of them. I mentioned around the 65th minute mark, careful what you wish for. There's a lot of chances coming. It only takes one for someone like a Dylan Maris or Sebastian Velasquez to step up and hit it from distance. Low percentage maybe, but high quality from both of them.
Headers away, this is going to be a corner. Rodriguez, header down, wide to Holpino. Holpino, delightful curling ball. Wasn't there for Rutz. Hey, if you can't watch the match, you can turn on SiriusXM FC channel 157. It's North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access on Tuesday nights, 7 Eastern. You can hear live matches from the USL, MLS, English Premier League, and more, all on SiriusXM FC 157 in the SXM app. Holpino couldn't get through there. It's possible you've tuned in expecting the College World Series. That's coming up in Omaha, and if you are a fan of either school, Dev, you know Stanford and Arkansas are outstanding soccer powers as well on the men's and the women's side, so feels like this is an appropriate place to start. Whistle against Wynn. Six and a half minutes in stoppage time, Devin. Anything you want to see different at this stage?
I was just about to say to you, I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen Locomotive open it up more in these transition moments.
Maybe they have. Turning Velasquez. Velasquez went for goal, and with a late hop scooped up by Steinwasser.
Some of it is decision making for sure. I would also say that there's a level of patience and respect that's being given to Detroit City. They're both fearful, these squads, fearful of that one mistake. So they have elected to take their strikes from distance, but there's plenty of space on the outside. But whether it's Cristiano Francois or Sanupe, when it comes into their feet, they're not going quick. Francois has actually come a bit more to the inside, and they're trying to play off possession within him. first 5-10 minutes when he came off the bench, he was great because of his ability to stretch this game down into the channel. They've moved away from that, and you've resorted to Matt Boehner, Francois, Maris, Velasquez, Richie Ryan, the whole cast of characters playing off of each other from a central location. You also open yourself up on the outside just like this for counterattacks by Detroit City.
And here they come, Holpino, slowly downhill. Deflected, Holpino tries to keep it away. Rotz arrived. Rodriguez flies in again. That's a clean challenge. It's Rotz, and now it's Rodriguez, and it's through, and it's a two-aheady. Newton still a two-aheady after it, and the ball's going to bounce down toward Boehner, and Fox is going to launch it away. Another significant collision, and still play on. And it's 3v3 in the back for the speedy Francois. Francois clipped it over Sinupe. Well taken off of Bryant, but Bryant recovers. Breaks first. Two of the championship's most informed teams. This is through win.
Evan Newton take a bow. This all starts, though, with the tackle by Maxi Rodriguez. Watch here. Well done to Richie Ryan. He's on his side. It's not studs up. He comes with his laces, wins it. And then as they go, watch the recovery here. It's a beautiful peel-off by a two-any. You have to time this right because of the step that's coming from the two center backs. And Evan Newton, dear Lord, he's made 4 on the night. Saves his best for last so far. That had glory written in the far corner all over it.
Operative phrase for now. Bounces off the referee. He's going to stop play. Reese Williams entered at that stoppage. 14th appearance, only 3rd time off the bench. Enough for Maxi Rodriguez. He comes off. Right back from White Plains. Enters now.
Watch the change, though, because now Michael Bryant's going to come in. And let's see if they let him stay high or they pull Connor Rutz into a more restricted position next to Abdoulaye Diop. That'll send Reese Williams to the outside, and there's the fresh legs you asked for.
Sinupe, goal kick. To remind you what's coming up around the USL Championship. Later tonight, the Rowdies hosting Charleston. Louisville and Orange County, both recent champions. Orange County won it all in Tampa Bay last year. Well, adjacent to it in St. Pete. Pittsburgh and RGV, switchbacks in Indy 11. San Antonio, Oakland highlight the schedule next Saturday afternoon, 1 Eastern. Hartford Athletic host Louisville City here on ESPN.
Hope you got your spikes on for that Oakland-San Antonio game.
Yeah, no
track
kidding.
spikes.
Well,
that'll be a track meet.
There will be a couple of testy challenges along the way, I would think.
Well, the Eastern counterpart in the West has got to be Oakland for the late dramatic.
Yeah.
Detroit City's ability to find an equalizer, find a game winner. Oakland Roots doing the same thing.
Roots also coming from Nice as Detroit did. And after a strugglesome start last year, Jordan Farrell got it turned around, and this year much the same. They've found that magic. Laney College, as ever, the perfect venue for a wild night in Oakland. Juan Guerra's got that pointed in the right direction. Ball left off for Velasquez. We're in the 90th minute now. Velasquez turned the corner on Ouimet. Turning Maris. Maris bounced that calmly. Northern guard. They haven't let their guard down yet. In many ways, this is the best of soccer in America. And if you didn't know about it yet, you know about it now. 3 added minutes to try and find a winner. Dev, ultimately, we're going to find out a lot about Detroit over the next month or so. Look at that schedule. They go away to Memphis. They're going to go away to Las Vegas, which, regardless of where they sit in the standings, is always a tough road trip. Then they'll host Hartford. But their ability to bounce back off allowing Billy Forbes away for international duty, finally getting Brad Dunwell back on the bench. Hopefully, Fordham alum Matt Lewis soon as well. Closer to full strength, maybe some additions. Can Detroit maintain what's been a blistering start?
With the additions, absolutely. If they get healthy, too. Matty Lewis' loss on the back line has been massive, but Carl Ouimet coming on loan from Indy 11 has allowed them to still maintain the same sort of gellingness that you've gotten out of all of this tactical praise.
Matua heading forward, it nearly slipped through by Bryant, who, to your point earlier, made that internal move with the sub a moment ago.
Trevor James has been very clear, though, and you have to take a look at the quality of opponent, because we said that's going to raise. You're going to turn the corner play. New Mexico United, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Oakland Roots, Louisville City. You're talking about the best of the best within their respective conferences, both East and West. And so some of these points that are letting slip by, you could think, good, okay, well, we didn't drop points, but you also didn't gain the extra 2. Now, historically, the fast starts that we've talked about for all of these teams, Detroit is 3rd overall for expansion squads. They've all made the playoffs, so that's a good thing. But if I'm Trevor James and I'm no Northern Guard, or I'm any of the boys wearing the Rouge tonight, I want a home playoff game. You can see what this environment does to push them to another level. So you want to find a way to push those results out. I would say for El Paso Locomotive, Mike, this is a fantastic result, because coming on the road, if it holds, the ability to come here and get a point is almost valued at a win at this point in time.
It's a Tuaheni, and they steal the points. Touchdown toward win. Ball across, knocked down with a deflection, driven away by Yuma. That'll find the bleachers. Last chance here for Detroit. Final minute of stoppage time. Ball into the penalty area. There's contact, it's a goal kick, and that'll likely take us to full time. If you can even hear the whistle. El Paso's gone on the road and stolen a point. Detroit continues their upward trend. The goals come in the 23rd from Pato and from Calvillo in the 32nd, and Hutchinson and James share a moment. We'll be back next Saturday. Hartford is going to welcome Louisville City, 1 o'clock Eastern. You'll see it right here on ESPN. For Devin Kerr, our entire team in Detroit and beyond, Mike Watts saying off to Omaha, Arkansas, Stanford in the Men's College World Series now.
Wait.